tell me, Susie, what are we doing? Packing the kiln.
Okay, I'm just saying, in theory, the gas flame comes out here and circles, right? So your stack would normally be like this. You know, traditional pottery have a whole stack going up here. You would stop like about here because it needs the air to circulate. Okay,
so maybe 9 inches, 6 to 9 inches.
Yeah, I don't mean your shelf would be there, but the top of your work would be there.
Okay.
But this is so sparse that you can get away with a lot more. And when I pack mine, I can kind of go into these areas. But in theory, that parameter does not get used. So you have a burner over there as well.
All right.
So that's coming around here, and you can imagine they're circling up to here.
Right.
Imagine this kind of like tornado, but it's not, and you can get away with things. But this definitely, anything in the line of this is going to get torched.
Right.
Okay, so this is crucial, and that is too, but you're more unlikely to put things there. Okay, and the other just thing about packing it is, remember this is a trolley kiln, so you don't have to pull it out, but if you do pull it out, if you just pull that out now, the bricks would all pop up and the kiln would, you know, be damaged. So you have to put down the rails, and these rails, these bits go facing these kilns here. This is down, the unpainted side is down, and this slots into the hole there, okay, and it matches up with these here. Sometimes we actually have a clamp on here to prevent someone from accidentally, absentmindedly pulling this out without thinking. The clamp has been taken off, so it's not there just now. Okay, so that's crucial. So when you get to when you have loaded it, then we'll just go through the different fans and all that.
Yep. Okay.
So that's what we're going to do.
Up to 1,000.
Yes, it's going up to 1,000. However, the pyrometer in that kiln is out, and from experience I know to set it to 1030. Now this is where a spy hole is handy, because then you'll see the coals drop. But in a bisque firing, I seem to have to set 1,000 to 1030. I mean, it's obviously, well, Pat says it's 1030 where the pyrometer is, but maybe the pyrometer is in the wrong place, because the majority of the kiln seems to be at 1,000 when you set it to 1030. Now when you do a high firing, you have to kind of do the opposite. You have to lower the temperature. So for me to do a 1060, I tend to set it to 1020 to 1020. I mean to 1260. I set it to 1220 to 1225.
Right.
Stuart used to go to 1216. And that worked for him, and he used to say he did cone 10, but
he went up kind of fast, did he not?
He went up kind of fast, which would suggest that actually the heat work would be less. So it's sort of, anyway, so that's a problem with not having the spy hole, but you know, through experience you can figure out what to set it to.
Okay.
And
so we're setting it up 100, a rate of 100 up to 600 degrees, and then 220 up to 1030 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. Now the fan on that kiln is particularly powerful. It's not matched with the gas, in the sense that there's an awful lot of potential for loads and loads of air, because it's a really strong fan, and the gas is a little bit more limited. So if I was doing a firing and I thought I might want to go really, really fast at the end, I might set it to go into reduction, which means, I shouldn't say go into reduction, I would program a reduction in there, which means I would be giving it extra gas at a certain stage, but I could up the air to match that gas. So, you know,
so
there's
it wouldn't
things
go
like
into
that.
reduction.
It wouldn't go into reduction, but in the program, I'm kind of tricking the kiln a wee bit and making it go faster. But the Martha kiln is different because it has a much smaller fan on it. So in fact, you're limited by the speed because the air just is not enough. Right. Okay, so we're going to go in here. So what did we say? Actually, I don't need this, but it's 100 to 600 and it's 220 to 1030.
Just to confirm that that's the settings that you need there. So That's on, those are to hand, that's the emergency off. And
That's emergency off.
Those are emergency off. So if you wanted to switch off, you switch that one, or that one, or that one.
That's the quickest.
That's the quickest.
Okay.
That one's the quickest, right?
The other thing is, with the big kiln, and particularly in the event of firing 2 gas kilns or on a really hot day, we have a secondary extraction, which we had to put in because the ceiling was getting above dangerous levels of heat. So with that's it there. That's it there. That's blowing in, I think, and that's pulling out.
Okay.
So that is controlled. It's plugged in behind there, and if you move in there, you can see a wee plug that says fan 2 plugged in. You can hear it going.
Fan 2, yeah, see it? So you just switch it on.
It's on now,
Oh, it's
but
on.
the only reason you would turn it off is, I'm not really sure, I think we probably should turn it off sometime because it probably is wear and tear, but a main reason to turn it off is if you're trying to do a reduction in this kiln, it affects it because it's blowing air in, and it's the atmosphere in the room is too much air, so
Okay.
somehow like that. Anyway, right. So we've got our 2 fans on. We're doing these, so that's good. So we come in here. There's sometimes the occasion that someone might have unplugged this as well, in which case you've got to go back there and find the plug. I don't think it's written on it, but it's obvious when you get back in there, and you'd only know that if you did that and it didn't come on.
And what you've just switched on there is?
I've just switched on the controller and the fan, so you can hear the fan going now. Okay, so the next thing you have to do is you have to deal with this, and this is the policeman. So during the firing, this is of little relevance to you, except that it also gives you a reading of the temperature, so it's like a second thermocouple. But it's not actually going to have anything to do with the program. It's if this fails, this is going to tell you the temperature that the policeman will cut the kiln off at. So if you're here and you forget, and it goes, for some reason this fails, and it goes above, it's not going to fire to infinity. It's going to cut off at a certain rate. So you have to set that. Nothing's going to work unless you set that. And to set that, you just press this in. And you have to wait until it reads a sort of a number that's not 888. You know, a sort of a sensible number. Okay, so there you are. Now you can change that too, but we don't need to do that now. So it says it's set at 1280. Like I said to you, there's a discrepancy with the thermocouple. 1280 is probably above 1300. So just because of the idiosyncrasy of the actual thermocouple. So then the next thing you have to do is you normally put this to ignition, and that's this way. Now we ran out of labels for these, but if you're not sure, you go to the other fan and just check what's written, because I think it says ignition and run. So you switch that to ignition, and this will tell you, I can't remember what that's called, but this is called weep, and that's on off, or power or something. So anyway, so you're ready just there, just now. So now the next thing is to program it, and to program it you have to get into a sort of a locked system, because it's locked. You have to know how to unlock it. So to unlock it, you press the up arrow and this scroll, that we call that a scroll, that circle button together, but it's as a scroll, it's like an enter in a computer, you know, kind of. So up and scroll together, and then it says unlock. So you have to put in a code, and the code is 10. So you press the up to 10, okay, and then after that you have to enter it, so you press the scroll. So right, so now you're into the programming system. So this is saying my final set temperature of the first segment. So you can see there. It also, this here is the program number. So there are various different program numbers, and I think to change the program number, I'm not sure how you change the program number, but I think you might press that. Yeah. Actually, I don't do this all the time, so I forget. This is changing the program number, but I'm doing something that I'm not sure about, so I'm I'm going to try and get out of that. No, I can't. Right, I'm going to go exit, scroll exit. So ignore that because I didn't know what I was doing. What I've always done is I've changed I've never changed the program number. Stuart did. He always had his own program number to keep it safe, but I always change the first one myself all the time because I'm doing something a little bit different all the time. So I'm going into unlock, go to 10, and then I've scrolled, so I'm into the system again. So it's telling me program 1, first segment, and the final set temperature of the first segment is 600. And I think that's what we want.
Exactly.
But if we wanted 650, you'd go up to 650 or back down to 600, okay?
Okay, good.
So that's that. So to get into the next bit, it's enter. And that's saying what ramp rate do you want? What speed you want it to go to 600 in the first segment. So this is saying 130, and I think,
Want it at 100.
yeah, we wanted 100, so we're going to go down. You can keep it pressed in too, but 100, okay? So enter. So then, excuse me, this says, excuse me, this says event. Event means, do you want some special event on this? That means reduction. Do you want reduction? No. If you did want reduction, this would read 1, so you could put this up to 1. However, at this stage of the firing, it wouldn't make any difference because it doesn't go into reduction. It has a safety never to go into reduction before 800 because that's the temperature the gas will self-combust at. So you wouldn't want to be pumping extra gas in at that point anyway. So it doesn't do that, but it does offer you that. So you say no, enter. So it says 880. Now, we want to go to 1030. Now, if I was just doing this and then that was in for speed, I would just leave that in there and then I would do whatever temperature I wanted to 1030 there and then go to the next one. But anyway, we'll change this to 1030, which is segment 2, final set temperature. Okay, going up, going up. Oh! Took my eye off the ball there, George. Okay, so go down. So final set temperature is 1030. Scroll 250 ramp rate segment 2. What did we want?
230.
230.
220 it was.
Okay, so we're going to go down to 220. Okay, so then we enter again for scroll.
Yep.
An event. What does event mean?
Event means reduction. We don't
Yeah,
want
do we
reduction.
want reduction? No, we don't, so nothing. If we did want reduction, we'd go 1, and that would mean it would be pumping more gas in at that point. But we're going to go back down again. Nothing, okay? Now, like I told you before, if I wanted to speed it really high, I would give it that reduction and I would match it with the air and keep it in oxidation. Anyway, so scroll at 1030, so like I said before, I would have probably left that previous thing in, that previous stage in, and just gone like 220, or was it 220 or 210?
220.
220 to 8, whatever, and then I would have just gone 220 to 1030. Well, we've put the 1030 in, so I want to get rid of this segment, so I press the up and the down together just to clear that.
Alright, good.
Okay, so, and then this is saying what time. Now, from here on in, if I keep pressing scroll, I'll keep getting more and more segments. Now, there's a way to get rid of those extra segments, but I'm not sure of it, and I've never needed to do that because it'll just cut off anyway. But you'll see if I keep doing that, it keeps going through segments, but it's 1220 there. Actually, I'm going to take that away. Okay, it keeps going through segments. We did find another segment which I had to take to nothing as well. Did that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. So
Yeah.
you get rid of the segment. You don't want the segments.
No, I don't
So
want
you
any.
just put in 0.
I just want, yeah, I don't want any more things, but I don't know how to get rid of all these segments. I think there is a way, but it's I found that it's irrelevant. They can be there.
Yep.
But I want to get out of the system now because that's
Yep.
it sorted. So I have to press mode twice to exit and then press scroll. Now at this point we're back out of the thing again about the setting system. So, but I want to just double check in case I've made a mistake. So I'm going to go back in again and I'm going to go to 10. Enter, and I'm just checking final set point 600 segment 1. Scroll. It's going to go 100 degrees to 600, and that's still segment 1. It has no event, no reduction in segment 1. Scroll again. The next final set point is 1030 segment 2. The ramp rate in segment 2 is 220, and there's no event. And ideally, I think that should say end, but I don't know how to get rid of these extra segments.
Yeah.
I'll ask Pat when he's up next time. So they're just annoying more than anything else. So two clicks on mode, and then it says exit, and then you're out again. So okay, so that's it, ready with that program. So the next thing you need to do is you need to press this, which is the run as well. This is a run thing, and then you see it says run up there. And then you couldn't light it now because it needs to go through a safety thing, which is purging the air, and that's just blowing air through, clearing the gas from any pipes. Okay, so to do that you have to keep this pressed in for about 10 seconds. This is called, yeah, or purge, yeah.
I'll write that on later.
Yeah, they're all labelled on the other one. We ran out of labels. Okay, so about 10 seconds, so that should be it, but it's still doing that. We're not going to be able to do anything now until that's finished, that's what it's doing, and we'll know when it's finished when these burner panels light up. And what will happen is these two lights will light up, and then we can light it, in theory. This is a flame failure, and this is the mains on. So when it's lit, this will be off. This flame failure will be off, but you'll know if a burner has gone out when this lights up in the middle of the firing. Okay, but to start with, it should be on, you know, before you've lit it. So that's okay just now. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that to light up, we're going to check our air. Okay. So to check our air, it's these two butterfly valves. Right? They're called butterfly valves, I think. There's two of them. One is locked, so you can have some control on the regulation, like you can set the full amount of air, so then it's kind of easy to go to full or whatever. But it is locked just now. One is locked, so you don't touch that one. The inside one is movable. And what I have found is I need to light the kiln on slightly. That's it, lit up now. So flame failure is lit up and the green button is lit up, but we'll go back to that. So I need to start the air at, I have found on this one at around 4. Now there's an open and there's a shut written here. It's not very easy to see. And then there's segments. So you start from the shut side, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So you try and line up that little knob with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's a mark on it anyway, isn't there?
Well, this doesn't have any. This is just.
That mark.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, I don't know if that's in the right place. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've been ignoring that. I just go to 4, right?
Right.
But later on in the firing, I'll give it a bit more, because if you leave it at that, it will go into reduction, possibly. It kind of depends on your pack as well, the reduction and all that. So, right, so we come over to the other burner. So this is the one that's locked. On the right hand side, they're locked. And this is the open end, and that's the shut end. So I go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I take it just under the 4, but I don't know if that's just the angle I'm looking at. And then we can attempt to light it. Now sometimes it doesn't light, and Stuart noticed that it lights better on, see, if you look at this one, see that thing that says ignition and run, that wee switch, ignition and run. I have it on ignition, but Stuart found that it lights easier on run. That's got something to do with the size of the flame that comes on in relation to the program, which I'll explain in a minute. But sometimes when they're cold you do have trouble lighting them, but I'll try lighting this now, but I won't be surprised if it doesn't work actually. So just keep it pressed in until something happens. Okay, so it's not lighting. Now that's come on, flame failure means on. I'm going to try and turn the thing to run. You can smell the gas?
Yep.
So that's that turn to run. So that's ignition. The other side's at 4. We're going to try and light the other one. So now you can see that's on, that's off, and that's flame failure. So if that lit off, it would mean the burner's gone off. I can tell here that it's lighting. I don't have to see it, right? Up pretty quick. This kiln has 2 settings for each burner, on low and on high. You can see it's gone down to low, and that could be a danger point at the beginning where it might go out, right? And high. So that's how it controls the temperature, switching from low to high. But even when it's on low, the door is closed, it could bomb up in temperature faster than your program. So sometimes to counteract that, I close the door gradually to try and mediate the temperature rise. So we'll just lower this bit and we won't put it into place. Now obviously this is being held up by a wire cable. Now this wire cable is pretty sturdy and it's chosen for its job, but in the interest of like total
Safety.
Madness and somebody coming in wielding an axe, I would always think of this as a guillotine. So when it's like this, don't go in. Okay. So you just lowering it. Actually, I lower it all the way. Sometimes I might not, but it's probably good to just lower it all the way for safety. But so it's that's in there. Then you have to get this all the way out, and sometimes there's a slight problem with the calibration. It's they're not exactly even both sides, so you might have to jiggle it up a bit to get it to actually be in the right place. But you might see see now the other one might not actually quite fit in. Yeah, they do fit, that's fine. Sometimes I need to go up a small bit, because that's going to close at an angle. I might need to at some point. We're not going to close it this now, so but you might need to adjust the tension on the door to get it in the right place without putting too much strain on this, yeah? So I'm going to leave it like that, but I need to explain to you a little bit about how it works, because I think it's important. Okay, I'm going to go in here, then go down again. Oh, but you know this bit.
But other people may not.
Okay, so the way the kiln works is, well, it's running up now, and the way it rises and cools in temperature is it's following its program. So it has in the program that it should be now, according to the time, it should be at, say, 50 degrees, right? In a minute, it should be at 51 degrees. So it knows that. So this, actually 31 degrees, this is what it should be at in this program. So it knows that. So the burners are going, and this is the temperature it actually is at. Now it has a choice between being on a high flame or a low flame. So it's above what it's supposed to be at, so it's going to be on a low flame, but it's still going to go up, yeah, because it can't go any lower. But we've got the door open, so that kind of calms it a bit. But when the computer tells it should be at 100 degrees, it needs to give it more power. So it goes on to a high flame, which is option 1. So you have option 1, option 2. So option 1 is the high flame, option 2 is the low flame. So this is going to rise because it's running a program, right? This temperature is going to rise with the program, but this is the actual temperature. So when it's 10 degrees above this, when this is 10 degrees above this, it's going to be on its low flame to bring it back down. When it drops 10 degrees below that, it's going to go on to its high flame. But you'll notice that because it's going up and down according to its program, you're going to lose time, because when it drops, the program stops because it's saying, oh, I'm not running in conjunction with the actual program, so I have to stop the program. So in effect, if you program it to go like 200 degrees an hour, you may find, depending on what stage it is in the whole firing, you may find that it's actually only gone 120 degrees an hour, because it's going up and down all the time, so you're losing time. So that's another thing you have to factor into your programming. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So I think that's it. So we're just going to let it run. So it's running, and yeah, it's being good. It's not going too far above this. So what we'll do is we'll leave the door open. We're going to check it in half an hour. If these numbers are closer together, we're going to close it a bit more. So we're just going to keep an eye on it. And when we manage to get them around the same temperature, the program and the actual temperature, it might be about 250 degrees when they're actually working with the door closed. So we'll close the door at about 250 degrees properly, okay? And that will make it more accurate according to what we want. The other thing to remember is, if you want to abort the firing for any reason, you get called away in an emergency, nobody's here to be with the kiln, or there's a fire alarm or something like that, you can press this and you keep it pressed in for about 5 seconds until this says aborted, and that's the kiln shuts down. But even at that point, you don't turn this off. You never turn this off until the day after the firing, because this is the fans going through the pipes if this is at 1,000 degrees and you turn that off, there's no air going into the kiln, the heat's going to come back out and burn the electrics. So you never turn that off until the day after, because that's controlling the fan, and that's pretty crucial. Like, you can turn the air down if you don't want it to cool too fast at the end of the firing, and you would never turn it down below the second notch. So you can turn this down at the end of your firing to, on both burners, to 2, but not below. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And like I said to you as well, now they're at 4. When it gets to about 400, 500, I'll turn it up to another half a notch, so just slightly up, just to prevent any reduction.
And bring more air in.
Yeah, I'll be bringing more air in, but it seems to be too much for it in the early stages.
Right.
That's just something I've learned myself. It might kind of blow the burners out. So if you, in your firing as well, if you see that this drops below that, it will drop below it sometimes, but if it drops considerably below it, like 150 degrees, you know a burner's gone out, so you check your burners. But you should be keeping an eye on them anyway.
Yeah.
But it will always be hovering around it, so it will drop, but it shouldn't drop by 150 degrees, but it can sometimes drop by 50, 60 degrees, because it makes a dramatic difference when it goes from high to low.
And if you want to check the flame is out, you'll see it on.
This will be lit up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you would just try and light it again. Okay? Try and light it again as it is. Maybe turn the air down to the original, like 4.
Right.
Try and light it. If that fails, you'll have to go through the whole system again, reprogram it. So if you're at 500 degrees, it goes like full to like 510 or something, and then the rest of your program follows on.
Right.
But you might have to weep again to clear the air. It might not light, but it might. But it's quite safe.
Right. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yep. Thank you, Susie.
That's all right. Okay, so you've got your yellow pipes and your blue pipes. Blue is air and the yellow ones are always gas. The gas ones are always controlled really manually by what do you call those?
Valve.
A valve. And when the valve handle is in line with the pipe, it's fully open. When it's across the pipe, it's cut off. So that one is the main gas, but you'll see there's a second one as well. So that's a reduction gas. So when it goes into reduction, if you had put an event on at say 800, that opens. And it opens with whatever setting you have. It won't open if it's cut across it. And you can see that it's just slightly open. So someone has, the last time it's been used, they've just given it a little bit more gas, but not a lot. But I think if you were doing a proper reduction, that would be more halfway across. But I haven't the experience of actually doing a full-on reduction. I've given it more gas to create like a faster oxidized firing, you know. So that's kind of something that you would only learn with experience, but through knowing how it works. But you'd have to adjust it, watch the flame, see your results, you know, over time. But that's what they are. So there's 2 sets of gas going in there and one air. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Cool. That would be better. But anyway, we'll just put free firing up there. George and Lou. And it's 1,000, but it's set to 1030. Okay. And the program is it 100 to 600?
100 to 600, 220 to 1030.
220 to 1030. Oops. Okay, so that's it. So what time did we light it? We lit it about
9:15. Or
9.
Half 8 really.
Okay, 8:30 lit. Left air at 4. Right, I'd say it's 3.5. What else?
Door open.
Door open, yeah. Door open. So what I do then is I do sort of an estimate and actual. So we've lit it at 8:30. So you might want to look at it at 9 in the early stages, 9:15,
Right.
9:30. But my estimate at 9:30 will be it's at 100 degrees, right? That's kind of really rough. It'll probably be more than that actually. So 10:30, 11:30. This is really I'm doing this because of what I said to you about it losing time. If you keep a track of this, you will be more informed to program the next one better, because I know it's going to lose time, but I haven't analysed, because my firings are much faster, so I haven't kind of analysed how much time it's losing.
Right.
So
So 1:30. So if you count 6 hours, so from, so you go.
well, what I will do is you'll be checking it,
Right.
or I'll be checking it every hour, right?
Yeah, but you're going to do an estimate of.
Yeah. So 10:30, 200,
Right.
300, 400, 500, 600. Right. So it should be at 600 at 2:30, right?
Right.
If I've done this right, but I might not have. So you might.
No, you have.
5:30, 6:30. Right. So it's not going to be at that, right? But it's just good to know what it is actually at according to that. So, so what's it going to be at after that?
220, so it'll go up to 8.
8.
820.
There's no way
No.
it's going to do that. So you'll know how.
Another.
You'll know next time how long a firing takes, because
Yeah.
you think you'll be home at 5, but you won't. So
Another
9,
220 with
10,
1040.
40. So in theory, there
should
you
be
are at your
finished then.
temperature, but I suspect you'll be down here.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Good.
Does that
okay.
make sense?
It does. And we need a form with that on it.
I think
You want
so.
me to make one up?
Well, I'll give it